Hi everybody, it's me, Nina. Today I'm going to be showing you how to pressure can green beans. So today Steve went out into the garden and got another great big bowl of green beans that we had planted, and these ones are called half runners. They've got a lot of strings on them. I've already taken care of all that and got them all broke up, and now I'm ready to can them. Wanted to bring you guys along with me, so let's get started. So when you're canning green beans, you want your jars to be sterilized, to be super clean. So I've already gotten mine scrubbed with Dawn and hot water, scrubbed them real good. I use a baby brush actually for a bottle, baby bottle brush I should say, and that does a wonderful job. And then I have an electric teapot that I use, and it gets boiling hot water, and then I pour each of the jars full of the boiling hot water, let them sit, and then on a cookie sheet and put them in the oven on about 200 to keep them sterilized. But today I've only got enough green beans, maybe, hopefully, for a 7-quart jar, so we'll see. Get this light on over here. Help a little bit. Alright, since I'm not sure exactly how many jars that I'm going to be able to have filled, I'm going to start out with about 4. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt in each jar. Now, I usually have the canning salt, and I'm out of it, so I'm just going to go ahead and use table salt. So for a quart, you're going to have 1 teaspoon. If you're doing a pint, it's just half a teaspoon. Okay, I'm going to start out with those 4 first. Okay, I've already, like I said, I've already got my beans all ready, and I have washed them really well. And just start putting them in our jars. You can use a funnel or do it by hand if you want. These are wide mouth jars, so they're kind of easier to use your hand. Usually I don't get them all over, but I am today. I might get my little funnel out and do the rest of them. Okay, once you get them in there, you're going to kind of pound them real easily on your counter. Maybe cover them up with your hand and shake them around, and usually they'll move down and you can put a few more in there. That looks perfect. We want them to be up to this part right here, because next we're going to fill it all the way up with boiling water to the same spot. Alright, let's get the rest of them filled. Alright, as you see, I've got enough beans to fill 5 quarts, and I've got a little bit left. So after, what I'm trying to do is, Steve and he is wanting to keep up on everything, and it's a great idea. Instead of putting them in the fridge and saving them, when he goes out and picks, I sat down and got them all snapped and got everything ready and washed, and that way we're just going to go ahead and can them on the same day. They'll be extra fresh and extra tasty that way, and it helps so much because the garden grows so fast, and you can just overtake and really quickly, and then you'll find yourself with so much to do that you feel overwhelmed. So this way is the way that we do it. You do whatever is good for you and your family, but for us, I kind of like to just can as we're going. Alright, so I've got boiling water here, and I'm going to pour them all the way to that rim where I showed you. So these jars were sterilized. And then now we're adding the boiling water. I'm going to get some more. Okay, the water is boiling. I'll go ahead and fill the other two up. Now that we've got them filled up with water, we're going to take a paper towel. I've got vinegar here. And we're going to go around the rim of each jar. That's just to make sure that there's nothing on it and no salt or anything sitting there that would make the seal not work well. And also to let anybody know, these are brand new jars, but you still have to be careful and make sure that there are no nicks or chips or cuts in these. I can tell because I've done it for so long by filling with the paper towel. But every time that you can, make sure that you do that. Anytime you're canning meat or beans or whatever you're canning, make sure that you're checking all of the rims. Okay, we've got that done. And I've washed the lids. I want to tell you too, lids can be expensive. Oh, you can probably get, I think it's a dozen for, I think they're like $3 something nowadays. But to save ourselves, what we've been doing is all this year, every time we go to the grocery store, we pick up 1 or 2 boxes of these. These are wide mouth jars. We also have regular mouth jars. So we try to get at least 1 box of each every time we go to the store, because you cannot reuse the lids. Now, you can reuse the bands. These are clean and they're just discolored because I have hard water and I have to put vinegar in my canner to keep a white residue from depositing on the jars and the lids, and it discolors the rings, the bands. So they're perfectly fine though. So that's a good way to start saving, is just buy you 1 or 2 boxes of the lids and then save your bands. So what we're going to do, we got the lid on, we're going to put the band on and make sure that it starts out the right way, and the jar is hot because that water is boiling. We're just going to tighten these finger tight, just like all of the other ones that we have been doing the last couple days. Now today I cleaned the house up this morning because I had been not getting a lot done because I had been staying up half the night trying to finish off canning all of that meat that we had. And those canners, when you're processing meat, it takes 90 minutes to process those, so it takes a long time. So I wasn't getting to bed, and so today I decided I gotta clean the house up, and Steve did the dishes for me, and we work together, and that's what it takes to get things done. So that was a good thing. And I got a bandana on my head because I get so sweaty, and even though I have short hair now, I still get so hot. And I know that there's other YouTubers that wear these, and now I know why. It sure does help absorb some of that sweat and keeps it off of your face. So, all right, let's go to the canner. Alright, once again, if you haven't watched my other canning videos, I went in detail about my All-American canner, and you are more than welcome. I'll put a little link card at the top of here somewhere. Take a look for it, and that will take you right to where those videos were. So, in the canner, since we are doing the quart-size jars, I have 1 of these already in the canner. The only reason it comes with 2 is if you're doing pint-sized jars. I've already canned some pint-sized jars of green beans this year, but now we are going to start doing some quart jars because those are good. I love to fix green beans and potatoes and have cornbread and all of the good garden fixings, corn, and slice up a red tomato, and it's just yummy. So I'd rather have a big quart jar of green beans, and that way I'll have enough if company comes up. And let's get started. We need to put some water in here. We want enough water in here to go up a couple inches. on the jars. And the reason for that is this is going to be cooking for 25 minutes under extremely high pressure, and steam is going to be taking out of the canner and up through the little vent. So we want to make sure that we have enough water that it's not going to go dry, because that can be a dangerous situation. Okay, the vinegar that I was using, I'm going to go ahead and use the last of it and pour it in here. That vinegar will help take care of all of that white residue from my hard water. And I'm going to get some more water and put the jars in. Okay, we've only got 5 jars instead of the 7 that this would normally take. So I'm going to kind of put them away from each other. And we'll put this one down in the center. And back those away a little bit. Put the rest of the water in. Alright, that gives me about 1.5 inches. I'm going to put a little more. Okay, I've got the rest of the water. And I forgot to tell you that I did it off camera, and I should have done it on camera for you. But you know, when we were knocking the beans to get them all to settle in there, you want to take, I use a butter knife, but they also make little tools for that, and you stick them down in there and go around the edges around the jar, and it will take out the air bubbles. So you can do that however you want with a butter knife like me, or buy you one of those little tools that they make. Alright, we're going to get the lid on now. This is called an All-American canner. It's a very, very good canner, and I would suggest that if you have the money, or if you can save a little money to invest in one of these, it's a great canner. I ended up buying this when I lost my job. I got a severance pay 5 years ago, and this is one of the things I invested in. I'm so glad I did. Alright, so these have a notch cut out right here in the front. So make sure that's in the front, alright? They also have a pressure gauge. I just had to order a new one of those. And they have a vent up here. You want to make sure every single time you use this canner that you can see through that vent. And what you do, just look toward light. And I've seen the light. So what we do now is, the lids do not have any rubber or anything that would get old. If it starts sticking, you can put a little bit of olive oil around the rim here. But mine's doing really well. So they've got a little arrow on the top. See that there? That is going to go right where that notch is. So you're going to seal it down, set it in there, and then turn the lid. And it has a little lock groove in the front, and it also has one in the back. That's going to make it extra safe. It's locked into place. So now we're going to put these alternate. Let's do one in the front, one in the back, and they don't have to be tight right now. We just want to get them up in place. Okay. Now, what we're going to do before we tighten them down is the space in here. We want it to be as close as being the same as we can get it. This one's up a little bit higher, so I'm going to make sure I tighten this side even more. And then I'll do the opposite side there. Make sure you get them really tight. I have arthritis in my hands, and sometimes it's hard to do, but I manage. So I'm sure you guys can. Okay. Just as in canning most other things, we always have to wait for this vent to start getting steam to come out of it. When that starts steaming, I'll show you what's next. Alright, it's starting to steam. I hope you can see that there. So now, since it started to steam, we're going to let that steam for 10 minutes. So set a timer. I've got one here on the stove. After the 10 minutes is up, we'll come back and put on the heavier gauge. Our altitude here where we live at in Ohio, we have to can everything on 15 pounds of pressure. So make sure that you check wherever you live to see what pounds of pressure you're going to have. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay, timer went off. It's done. 10 minutes already, so we're going to put the gauge, heavy gauge. Okay, when this starts jiggling like that, that's when we'll know to set the timer. For green beans in a quart jar, we're going to set the timer for 25 minutes. So it's a lot faster and a lot easier than when I was doing all the meat the last 2 days. Those were 90 minutes. So yeah, when this starts jiggling and the pressure, that means the pressure is up to 15 pounds. And also, this will go up to the 15. That's when I'll set the timer. Alright, it started jiggling. Gonna go set the timer for 25 minutes. Alright, it's been 25 minutes. So all we're gonna do is turn off the stove. It's too heavy to move off of this burner, and I have an electric stove. So I just let it sit here. We're gonna wait until this gets all the way back down to 0. This stops jiggling, and we'll open it up and see how they turned out. Alright, as we're waiting for the temperature and pressure to go down, you don't want to try to hurry it up by pressing on this. I'll show you, but don't do this. Like that. You want the pressure to naturally go down. And when this goes to 0, then we can take this off. But if you try to hurry it by hitting on there to let more steam out and the pressure out, you could actually break your jars. Alright, it's almost down. It's almost down in pressure. So I wanted to just chat for a second and let you guys know, 9 months ago, I had a heart attack and had a triple bypass. And I am just so thankful to be alive and be able to work in the kitchen and do things that I love to do. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. And if you have not ever watched my channel before, please feel free to go back through some of the playlists and see if there's something else that you'd enjoy watching. Like I said, my name's Nina, and I would love to have you be part of my YouTube family. So subscribe, and I'll just keep trying to do videos that everyone likes to watch. We do a lot of different things on this channel, and got chickens and everything, so I'm sure there's probably something that you would enjoy watching. Okay, the gauge is down, and it's not going to go quite to 0 because we had to order a new gauge. This one is off actually by about 2 pounds, so we're going to take this one off, and they're hot, so be careful. The steam is still just spurting out a little bit. I can see it there. But we can go ahead, since it's not spewing out and looks like it's stopped already. We're going to loosen these, and they're warm. Go ahead and get those undone. It's a beautiful day here in Ohio. It has, we've got the windows actually open, and it's really nice. That one wasn't even on, was it? Alright, turn it to unlock this gauge. Face it up away from your face. All that steam. Let's see how they turned out. Nothing like having your own green beans that you raised. My grandsons planted the seeds for the green beans. I'm hoping that they'll love them, since they're the ones that grew them. But yeah, there we go. They're still boiling hot. Let's get one close. Can you see it? Boiling. So you lay them out on a counter. Let me show you here. All right, you want to sit these out of any type of draft and set them on a towel, because sometimes, even though it's summer and the counters feel like they're not cold or anything, the temperature from being boiling hot to sitting on something, room temperature, could shock the jars, make it actually burst. So always set them on a kitchen towel. Let them sit there until they're totally done. You can see it's still boiling in there. And when they stop doing that, you'll start hearing bing, bing, bing as all of the lids start sealing, and you'll hear them. After those are all sealed, you want to take the bands, this part off, wipe them down, and put them somewhere that is cool and very dark. And don't forget to write on top of the lid when you can them. The lids nowadays say that you can keep these for 18 months, but I know with vegetables and stuff, through the years, I'm sure that the nutritional value would go down, but you could eat. I know of people that have eaten their green beans and stuff up to 3 and 4 years later and never had a problem. So, all right, everyone, thanks again for joining me today. Care and have a beautiful, beautiful weekend.